Again, welcome you all to the HR Virtual Learning Zone and invite you to a learning session on talent management best practices steered by Mr. Anurag Verma. He's Director HR of Flipkart. A quick profile run of Mr. Anurag Verma, who has been kind enough to accept our invitation, and he will be steering the session today. A quick background on him: a people and process oriented person having insightful experience of 19 years in human resource management, a strategic business partner who participates proactively in driving change in the organization through employee transformation interventions, an effective communicator, motivator, and coach with proficiency in managing people, a people leader who maintains transparency and unanimity, enhances capability of team by effective empowerment, delegation, and leading by example. He has a passion for setting benchmarks and standards in HR deliveries. His current assignment is Director HR Flipkart Internet Services Private Limited since October 2012. A few past assignments: he was CHRO with India Telecom Infra, Regional HR Head, West Region for Bharti Airtel, Corporate Manager for Vishesh Group. He was a registrar with Sylvan Learning, Maharshi Group, BPL Senior Technologies. An MBA and a BSc in Maths as his educational qualifications are concerned, and he has been certified as a recruitment analyst, Founder Care and Service Education Society. He is also undergoing, or the certification is pending, pardon me on that, on Associate Power Coach by ICF. His current location is Bangalore, and now I would request Mr. Anurag to kindly take up the session. People are very eager to listen to you, Mr. Anurag. Welcome to the HR Virtual Learning Zone.
Hi, thanks a lot, Shukrit, and good morning to all on this call on the HR fraternity. And I thank you all for being part of this today's discussion. It's my great pleasure to have you all today and touch, talk, and share some of the insights around them today. So I just at times whenever I'm doing such sessions with HR fraternity, I don't believe across in giving in any best practices to the HR folks. All of you are competent enough to utilize the best practices which are for your organizations. My approach is more to just share some of the thoughts or themes around, and then probably discuss amongst ourselves in a more interactive way, try to learn from each other, be collaborative. It's basically about knowing more people, how we do across the HR jobs that we are doing, the sort of challenges that we face across. And most of the time, it's more on situation, need-based, how we need to interact across. So coming back to the theme, I won't take much of time in presentation, and probably post that we can get into some of the interactive modes across and try to solve across some of the challenges we might be facing across, or would listen to some of the best practices as well. So the theme which Sukrit talked about was we interact around talent management, and today all of us in the organizations that we work across, in the industries that we belong to, we all almost on a daily basis are facing the challenges of talent, be it attracting, be it growing, be it retaining. Every industry has its own unique set of challenges. So my idea is just to get you all refreshed across into the broad themes, try to get aligned to the core basics across, and then probably take up from there. So what's the mantra? I think know most of the organizations believe across that our people are our greatest assets, right? So what do we do about it? But the problem arises when that only some of your people are your greatest asset. Could you be doing more with your high performers? I think somewhere or the other, most of us face through these questions. While the questions seem to be generic, the answers are difficult and rather more deep-rooted to find across the solutions. And some of the questions we need to ask answers for. How big a role will the people play in taking our organizations to the next level? It's not about thinking today or immediate tomorrow, but thinking about future, thinking little long term, thinking holistic, thinking big. Um, are we building the talent highways for the current or immediate requirement, or are we building it across for the future? What's the big role the people will move into? What are the dynamics that go across of the business, the changing business environment, the need expectations, how agile our people are, how fast they would be learning, how fast they will be growing across, how quickly they will adapt to the changing work environments, how future perfect, how big roles our people would be taking across. Now this is one of the questions, it's a big question that we need to ask ourselves, ask our leaders in terms of looking at their talent pool, in terms of what is that they expect across from their people going across to the next level. Now, how much percentage of our organization's success do you think is due to people? How much people dependent the organization is? How much technology dependent the organization is? How much product dependent the organization is? And most of the time the answer lies across that you can have a great product, you can have an excellent technology, great distribution network, service capabilities. But what that means across is you still need the people to make that success, to make that deliver, and it would be a good idea to put across some numbers around it and try to look across where we fail. Does our culture value performance? So how important is performance of people? How much do we value the performance, and are we able to create across a differentiation around performance? And as we move across into the value chain, as we move across to more complex scenarios across, it's never the same straight jacket that goes across. There are people who are meeting expectations, there are people who would not be meeting some of the expectations, and there will be people who will be the outstanding performers or who are constantly exceeding. How we are measuring them, how we value their performance, and what measures we take across. In what concrete ways do we value performance? And do we know what our high performers think? So most of the time we tend to assume a lot of things, that this is what my top performer wants, this is what he needs, not realizing exactly what the needs are, what his asks are, what he wants. what he expects, and what it takes across to take him to the next level. Do they have the seat on the table? Now this is very deep rooted across into many organizations would talk about performance, would value the top performers. But when it comes to hearing them out, empowering them more, getting them involved more into the day-to-day and strategic decision making, making them feel recognized that they're important, they play an important role in achieving the company's objectives across, their views, their thoughts are heard across. You need to seek answers where this is being followed, how much percentage of that gets translated into actions, and how much time does your organization spend upon increasing the impact high performers can have. Do we really measure that across? Do we have programs around identifying the impact of the high performers, building them across and making them more productive? What are we doing across? How are we measuring? All these questions. You need to seek answers across for, because based on these answers, stem across your talent management strategies, the tools, and the sort of interventions you would like to plan across in dealing your high performers or the talent which you would like to invest across. Some of the challenges. This is part of the Gallup study that happened across some time back, and I've taken some of the, most of you would have gone through these studies in some part of the other in your relative organizations. So it says that 72% of the companies predict that they will have an increasing number of leadership vacancies over the next 3 to 5 years. And somehow or the other, we all witness that across in the discussions that we have across, be it on the recruitment front, be it on the growing talent fronts, the CEO talks, the business talks across, that we need more people as we grow across into business. At times when the growth also is not that big or that great, still you need across leaderships. And interestingly enough, the study says that, and I hope all of you or most of you would be in alignment with me on this, the 76% of the same companies are less than confident in their abilities to adequately staff or grow talent for these positions. So while it's a big ask that we need more leaders, we need more people, or we need more high performers, another deep challenge which most of us face across in our work environment is, where is the supply chain of people? From where we get across those people, and it becomes harder and difficult to find these people across. Also from growing within, whenever there is the classical discussion of buying versus building talent, and it comes across, here we have some very good performers and excellent team, but can they take up to the next level? Are they ready across? No, we need to think twice before we move the person up. We don't think he's scalable or he's strategic enough to take that leadership role. We need to take someone from outside, and this classically goes across. So interestingly, and this is part of not only an Indian environment, but most of the global organizations as well, have the similar sort of challenges. Having said that, the second problem statement or the difficulty is finding the right people and keeping the people you need. both attraction and retention. And another interesting study done by Thomas Watson and some of the results that has come across, and I believe many of you would have gone through these reports in much detail across. I've just taken a few data points from this study, and if you look at the two parameters of attracting talent and retaining the talent, so the critical skill or experienced employees, 72% of the organizations in the study that participated across globally said there's a big problem in getting a critical skill or experienced employee, and equally bigger problem of retaining them. So while we find it difficult to get people, at the same time the potentials that we have are also moving out. So one way we are not able to retain the talent pool within, and on the other side getting the replacement or extra numbers needed across, that too becomes difficult. High potential employees, again retaining is a big concern, attracting equally difficult. Top performing employees, both attraction and retention is a key challenge which most of the organizations globally face across. And if you even look at the engagement levels and sustainable engagement level of a global workplace, not even 50% of the people in most of the global organizations you would find are here highly engaged. Most importantly, the detached and disengaged are almost equal number of people. So there is huge amount of effort needed across by organizations, leaders, to focus across on increasing the numbers of the people within the organization, making them more engaged, and also working very strong on the people who are disengaged across, getting into the root cause analysis or knowing what makes people disengaged, what are the prime drivers of it, and then work across onto that. And these are few of the challenges that we need to find answers for. And trust me, finding answers to most of these are deep enough. One has to go 2 or 3 levels below, have a deep analysis around people, get more data points around interacting, talking, and getting to know more about where are our people, what they think across, what drives them, what doesn't drive them, and what engages them more. Some of the other talent realities that we all face across in our workplace: skill gaps in the existing folks, structural mismatches, leadership vacuum, all leads to unsustainability of the current performing workforce to move across to the next levels. How to respond to this? No one solution. Hire from outside, yes. Grow and develop, definitely. Improve performance, big yes. Raise engagement levels, definitely. Retain key people, yes. Now, if you ask me what percentage of which to adapt across, well, there are no set answers. What is more important than the other, or do we do all, we do few. Again, there's no set rules, there are no set answers. These are some of the responses, some of the strategies around talent which you can follow across, knowing best your business environment, your people, their mix across, and then probably go deeper in developing those strategies or practices in terms of what would be the build strategy. How would I grow and develop? How much time will it take across? Would the business wait across, or the need is to get more people, buy more from outside? Improving performance should be a constant endeavor across, but how do we improve performance? Do we have an environment that fosters performance? Do we have a system which measures performance to the objectivity, fairness aspect, and all, believing in that this is a fair system of assessment and measurement of performance? And more importantly, keeping people engaged across. And then all this done well should always lead across into retaining the key talent. So, who is responsible to ensure that you have the right people to achieve the business objectives? Having said in the previous slides the importance of people, retaining them, motivating them across, ultimately whose baby is this? Who takes care of us? Who goes ahead and takes the leadership around this? So conventionally, what we see across in most of the organizations is where most of the people will say it's the HR's job. Getting talent, retaining talent, developing talent, engaging talent is an HR activity. They would say we provide the best pay and the benefits to the people, so they should not leave across. Recruiting is like purchasing. You're shopping across, and I have the money to buy across the best talent, and I can attract talent by paying more. Development, well, not so important. You conduct some training programs, structured modules around training, give them a 2 to 3 days off in a quarter, and they go and attend a module. They will come back, and the development will happen. And when it comes to treating people, be it the managing their aspirations, the performance, and the other benefits that go across, well, we treat everyone the same. Was true for some period of time of the economy or businesses that they were working across in the conventional model. Does it hold good today? Well, yes or a no, depends upon the industry, the organization that you are. Maybe at some places this might seem to be a right strategy to go for. But if you look at most of the progressive organizations, what they have moved across from is that all managers are accountable for strengthening their talent pool. So what this means across is that the responsibility of managing the talent pool clearly shifts across from human resource to the line managers. They are the people who are responsible for, yes, attracting the talent as well, retaining the talent, constantly engaging with them, developing them, nurturing them, coaching and mentoring them across. So the entire end-to-end focus shifts from HR to the managers. We shape our workforce, jobs, and strategy to appeal the talented people. It's not by showing money you can get across, and there is research which prove both ways, that you can't retain people by paying more, and similarly, money is not the only way that you can attract people. You need to go more deep, the workplace, the overall job, the growth path, the development, the challenges, all this, when packaged, communicated well across, yields to getting more talented people. Recruitment these days is all about marketing your product, which is your organization, marketing the job, the role, and the sort of challenges and growth opportunities that it brings across. And while training is essential, training leads to enhancing the skill, the competence, and at times the knowledge level of an individual. There's no second thoughts about it. It should happen in a structured manner across and on a consistent basis. Well, development needs to be fueled on top of this training with stretch jobs. Most of the high performers, if you look into, or high potentials, have a higher hunger of doing more than what is expected across out of them, and that's their fuel, that's their energy that they want across. And a constant mentoring and coaching by the leaders, telling them what is expected out of them, what more is needed across, what are the gaps, and how they can bridge those gaps and move across to the next levels. Lastly, we affirm our people that while we take care of most of the population which performs and meets across the expectations, but we need to invest differently for different players. So it's like, you know, in the game that you play across, each of the team members is important, and all work towards winning across the big match. And when it comes to sharing of the prize money, it gets shared with all of the team members. But out of them, there are different players, and those are treated differently. The star players are treated differently. They are paid differently in any team across, and the motivation levels also are different. And that's how the workforce these days also gets transformed across into not one size or one jacket fitting all people across. And you need to identify your different players, and at times it may be a right strategy to treat them differently. So what keeps people in? And this again comes from a mix of different surveys which I've tried to synthesize across, be it Gallup, be it Great Place, be it the Hewitt surveys that go across on retention, engagement, or satisfaction levels. And almost consistently, the top retention driver comes across is career growth and learning and development. And if you see down the list, paying more or paying fairly comes pretty low, almost at a 10 level or a 11 level, in the prime reasons across. Exciting work, challenges. Every day I come across to the job, there is a new challenge. There is excitement that is going across. Meaningful work. It's not what I'm doing across, but what I do, it matters across. I make the change. I drive the change across out here. And that's what makes people retain across. Who are my peers? I work across with great people. Some of the great guys are my co-workers, are my mentors, are my leaders. I get a kick across out of it. Being part of a team. I'm proud of a team which I work across. It's a great team to be in, right? A great boss. Well, do I get recognized? More than compensation. Recognition is what someone looks for. Sometimes a pat on the back, a job well done, and communicating that across to the people. Yes, fun in the job. While the pressures would be there, but it's fun. I enjoy that. Autonomy, sense of control over work, micromanagement, day-to-day, control most of the high performers don't like across. Flexibility in terms of just being yourself. I know what is expected out of you. Let me have the breather. Let me have the time to do those things at my leisure, and you focus across on the objectives. Yes, fair pay and benefits also is important. Leadership, pride in organization, great work environment, and lastly the locations. So the second important aspect around talent is the engagement of the people, and researchers show that positive correlation of engagement scores with employee attraction and retention. So if you are able to retain the right talent and get the right people across, your engagement levels in the organizations will also be high. Also, the engagement scores have a positive correlation with, and these are linked across with the business performance metrics, that the customer satisfaction levels would be higher, revenue growth and stakeholders return would be higher, overall employee productivity will be high, and you will be having a workforce uh, which is more present on the job, the attendance levels are higher, and overall the business productivity, the business health, or the organization strength looks great. So keeping that view in mind across, you can go ahead and develop your talent management system. The wheel which is shown across on this slide, it's a combination of many efforts across. It starts across with planning in terms of, as we saw across, what is my big ask, how do I need to get across, how many positions to get across on a buy mode, how many to develop within on a build mode, what are we looking at solving the long-term strategic initiatives. Once that done across, that roadmap ready, the blueprint brought in across with your business leaders, the jobs defined across, the tools ready, the competencies written down for it, the panel of people who would be judging and getting those people in is ready across. Then you can go for recruitment and selection and getting people, the right people on the right slots, and a good amount of time should be invested across in terms of identifying each talent across, and then constantly deliberating across with the panel members. Is he the right fit? Are we doing a right mapping of an individual? Once gotten across, right from his induction, his career management should be planned across in terms of what is expected out of him, what are his targets or goals or KRAs across, how he will be performing the job and how often it would be evaluated across, and also what are the probable next steps within the specified time period. And it all depends upon the sort of nature of industry, organization you are, how many years, months the person would move across to the next level. Those things also identified, what are those roles that would be. Then a constant training and development, which is skill, competence, knowledge, technology at regular intervals at the level the person is or his career path is. Give those insights and inputs. Plan his the succession, how he can build across, say, a system or a process, and his replacement as an individual, and then moving across onto the next role, what would be required. A constant performance management, a feedback system, evaluating and giving feedback is very important. Leadership development, investing across on people who are moving to the next level. This would be primarily through coaching, mentoring, and then aligning all with the compensation and the benefits to make a holistic approach across around the talent. And whenever things are changing, the business environment changes across, or you see spikes across on people leaving or productivity coming down, the attrition levels or productivity measures, or sudden change in the external business environment or internal environment, go back to the planning table again on the relook at your goals, plans across, and work across on the bandwagon. So talent management and planning, what essentially it does across, it helps you to understand who to focus across. I would say it's the process of ensuring that there are leaders and talent that can implement the organizational vision. Also, it requires the systematic identification of those individuals who have the potential to turn the vision of the organization into a reality. So, broad statement is that, do we have those people, and at least good 20% of those people, and 80-20% rule applies here as well, who can translate that vision into a reality, who eat, sleep, dream, breathe that vision of the company and make that happen across. Talent management is a strategic initiative. It's not a tactical day-to-day affair that you do across. It cannot be done in isolation to any other cultural or people-oriented initiatives in the organization. It has to be very tightly woven across with your cultural membrane and the other people initiatives and development. And lastly, classically, don't do a mistake that it's just putting some names in the boxes that this is how we are managing talent. No, it's serious. It's a strategic. So what it does is it focuses across on the individual development, strategically aligned to the future vision. So it's long term. Leadership development can ensure that the potential identified through the succession process is realized. Result is long-term leadership, sustainability through attraction, retention, and development of talent. So all three aspects, I would say, are equally important. What is my attraction philosophy? What is my attraction strategy? How I develop the talent across in my organization, and how I would retain it. So, and now, once we go ahead and have identified in terms of what is your talent philosophy, what is the management vision across, what is the sort of people that would be needed across to solve those that puzzle, from where you would be getting those people, and depending upon that mix, there are different approaches that you can follow across. There are tools which I'm sure most of you would be aware across. Now, knowing the tools alone in isolation doesn't serve your purpose. Say if you're going for a high potential, high performance program, you all know about the 9 box. And while we know the 9 box, and while we can put some of the names out there, but putting mere names out in the 9 box doesn't help across. So 9 box or any other thing, any other tool, the hyper model, or there are numerous models that one can look across, which suits your organizations more, are essentially tools. And once you have made this charter, you have made this this strategic vision document or the plan around what is that you need to achieve, what are the sort of people that would be needed across. Post that, if you put across the name map of putting people around it, and then using those tools effectively, would be a right talent management game plan or a strategy in my mind across. And yeah, there I believe there would be more models known to most of you folks across out here, and intentionally I had not put across talking much on those models or those areas, but mainly taking you through across on the broader theme, more on the strategic aspect across on why we need this across. So lastly, I leave you across with this that there are no recipes or formula or checklist or advice that describes reality. There is only what we create through our engagement with others and with events. So with this, I open across any interactive session of say another 10 to 15 minutes.
Thanks, Anurag. So we have the time for a Q&A now. So I have already started receiving quite many inputs. So I will just try and take them on pro rata basis. So I take this starting from Anushri had written that in a slide on what the progressive organization do, how do we ensure and measure the impact of mentoring, coaching or stretch jobs as they are long-term investments and take a long time to actually deliver tangible outputs?
Practicing coach myself. If we you know have clearly chalked up what impact is what we are looking across, you know, onto the stretch jobs or outcomes, and post that if we have focused power sessions around very crisply looking at what is the deliverable, how would you go about putting across a time frame, a sort of a program approach across which dates, which milestones, what needs to be done across, and that typically helps across individuals fast tracking and moving across towards the goal plan. What essentially coaching does across, it doesn't give you any external, I would say, you know, guidance across. It enables the individual rather to build across his own charter or bring across his own program and helping him looking within, helping him find the answers and the probable support that he or she needs across to meet those objectives, and getting him more planned, organized across, helping him get those tools. Ultimately, the individual has to, you know, approach it. No amount of coaching or mentoring can make a difference if the individual is not putting those efforts. Coaching and mentoring enables the individual to get focused, have a clear or a crisp directions, instead of 10 to 11 points working across on the critical few, which will have a high impact in a short period of time, and at the same time identifying where to get support across, how to build that. And if that done across, we have seen across results which can come across in a short period of time, let's say, you know, 5 to 6 months as well. Yeah.
Great. The next question comes from Vandana, that what are the parameters on which hypos and high performers are identified?
Well, again, Vandana, there can be no generic answer to it. Now the parameters on which you need to identify a high performer or a high potential is that A, you have to have a very strong and efficient uh, and a robust performance management system. So is your high performer doing a job or a task which was actually a stretch task, or is this just, he was given across a normal task which he took across as a stretch goal, and then he over delivered across on floor. And when most of your people are working across on a very tight and a realistic targets, and there are some or few who do more than what was expected across in that high growth, those are your high performers. High potentials are predominantly those individuals whom you see across, and it's more of a leadership and a behavioral trait that you see across in individuals, where they have a strong urge or desire, to do more than others. Potentially, these people are wanting more on their plate to come across, taking them to the next levels of either leadership or the role to move into. And there are certain tools which you can use across. There are some assessment tools as well, which one can use across. It all depends upon which function, which area you are looking at a high potential. And basis that can be corroborated, people can be identified and put across into those boxes. Yeah.
The next question comes from Dharmesh. He's asking, first he's complimenting that you have given a great point in the difference between conventional and progressive companies. So his question is, do you at Flipkart measure some of these and see where the learnings are?
Oh, that's a good one, Dharmesh. In Flipkart, well, we are a fast track progressive organization. So we definitely measure each of these parameters across, constantly draw learnings across. The unlearning also happens very fast in Flipkart, and changes and corrective measures are taken quickly, and it's all about focusing on key aspects across, moving or transforming across the people management aspects, the people orientations of the leaders, equipping them across. And yes, we understand and have realized and have a strong belief that it's the people that make across a difference, and it's the people managers who drive the people across, and we as HR needs to partner with them equally as a business partner and help them achieve those objectives and goals across. But yes, there's a constant measurement that goes across. There's a constant learning draws across, and we tend to go to the the drawing board faster than most of the organizations and take corrective measures as and when it comes across.
The next question comes from Rohit. He says, everyone talks about nowadays leadership is the key to the success of an organization. What are the best strategies for leadership development?
Well, the best strategies of leadership development you can read across a lot, and what I can share across from my own experience that I've seen across in this little journey is that a leader identifies a leader. It's just like a teacher identifies his disciple or his student, and like we all had seen across in our ancient culture or past as well, where we had this the teacher and disciple, or the guru shishya parampara, where it's equally important that the student finds his teacher, but the teacher also has a strong urge or desire to find across his disciple. So a good leader, or the good leaders are, and those who move up and are constantly looked across as good leaders, are the people who have a very, very deep sense of identifying the future leaders. This can be both, you know, on their sense of identifying people, and then collaborating across with data, backed across with the performance and the potential metrics of the individual, working across on certain tools and assessment centers, and then picking those people and genuinely investing times in terms of developing them. And I have seen leaders across traveling those extra miles, during the end of the days or on weekends, spending good amount of time with their future potentials and helping them groom across to take the next level jobs across. I believe that works across more than any other strategy. But yes, there are different strategies as well which one can go across with.
Question comes from Tapasya. She's saying, what are the key strategies for retaining top performers in an organization?
Well, Tapasya, it all depends on which organization one is in, what is its ecosystem, what are the set of people are there across. So you need to first engage more across in terms of your people, identifying what are they looking forward to, what are their aspirations, then what is the vision of your organization, what organization is looking for from in terms of both people as well as the business objective and strategies across, and then sort of figuring out the sort of ask and the gaps that are there, and then once you have that insight or data across, then you can build across in terms of strategies of what will drive those people across. As I shared in one of those slides, those are the top reasons or asks that a top performer looks across for being in an organization. And not all is what every organization can do, but what matters more. And again, the 80-20 principle adopts out there. What is the most of the people wanting across? Are they wanting enough of challenge? Are they want enough of autonomy? Do they want stretch goals across? Do they value development vis-a-vis the routine job across? All those are the answers that you'll have to look across. Once you have those data, once you have those answers, I think after that strategy is fairly easy to build across.
The next question comes from Kiran. The question is to Mr. They're saying that employees do not leave this company, they leave their immediate manager. How do you bridge the gap between the senior and the young talent? What are the measures, strategies we can take except training those managers to become more people oriented and help retain best talent?
Very true. We join the organization and we leave the processes, and this is common across the globe. And you're right. The gap between the senior and the young talent, or the boss or the subordinate, should not be there. That is an ideal situation. But most of the leaders or bosses tend to forget this important or this vital little aspect, that it is important for their success and their growth in the organization that their junior or their subordinates quickly takes across their chair. And I think that's where the HR partnering helps across in terms of constantly engaging with these managers, and I would say start across with a selfish approach with these guys, that what do you want to achieve across, what is your objective, and how will you achieve that. And if you have this objective to achieve, then you have to vacate what you are doing currently, and you will have to quickly identify the future leader or the person to come across. Now, do you have that in your team? If yes, well, you engaged, you got this person across. Now it's your responsibility to make him move across to that job or that role, and you take across more, from your manager or your boss. And also at times reflect him onto the mirror in terms of what is he expects across from his leader, and is his reflection matching what he's giving across to his subordinate. And most of the times, if this is done well by the HR partner, it helps the managers realize the importance uh, of building across their future leaders. And once this job is done, then depending upon the function, the sort of level and the sort of individuals he is working across, making strategy becomes more easier. And that's how you can bridge the gaps.
Yeah, the next question has come from Niharika. She's asking, in the service-based industry, what is the percentage of customer feedback which is taken into account while evaluating the performance of an individual?
Oh yes, highly progressive organizations or customer-centric organization, the customer metrics is pretty strong and dominant across, and almost and it depends on roles as well. So the roles that affect the customer performance directly, or the customer facing roles across, I would say good percentage, more than 40 to 50% of customer feedback is taken into consideration while evaluating the performance of an individual. And in Flipkart, we go ahead extra in terms of measuring that, and we constantly evaluate the net promoter score, which is a more deeper and richer way of measuring the customer feedback, and it is given the utmost importance for a person's performance. And if they are into those customer facing functions across, no matter how great your performance may be, if you have not moved across your NPS scores across, then there needs to be a discussion, a dialogue in terms of what's going wrong, what processes or the initiatives that we are doing, why it is not impacting across. So yes, to answer you, in a service industry or a customer-centric industry, uh, a big percentage of customer feedback is taken into account while evaluating the performance. Because customer is first, he's the prime.
Okay. I guess in the interest of time, we can take one more question. This question comes from Kanchan, and she's asking that if a particular engagement which is being headhunted and providing 100% hike, as a manager, how do I retain the employee due to the spur of external source?
Can you elaborate a little across onto it, because it talks about a particular engagement which has been headhunted, or an employee provided 100% high. As a manager, how do I retain the employee due to? Is it a question of acquisition or retention?
Awaiting that input, it's retention.
Okay, so I assume that it's a scenario where someone has got a offer or a hike from a market which is 100% in terms of what he or she is currently getting across, and this is a classical problem or dilemma or challenge that we all HR professionals face across in most of the times in our career or day-to-day working. Now, well, and if this guy is one of the star or the best performers, there is always a pressure to retain the individual. So to solve this, there are a couple of steps backward the organization should always take across on a very progressive mode. One has to constantly look at the roles which the company is working across, and what are the key and critical roles, and do a benchmarking internally always, and this should go not only as an annual exercise, but wherever we change the goalpost, be it in terms of the business targets or the growth moving upwards or the market moving upwards, in terms of what are the probable roles uh, in the competitive market environment or in the industry, uh, one level up, lower or equal, and how these are placed in terms of compensation and where we are, and then benchmark across realistically. And once you have those data points across, then you realistically know that what is the right pay for performance and benefits that one can give across to its high performer. And usually we all know that this has 3 levels and the compa, and there has to be a philosophy on what is the maximum compa that you can give across to the resources. Now, always it will happen across that there will be always some other organization that can go crazy in terms of paying that individual. Now, uh, should we always go ahead and do that? The answer would be no. One has to engage with the employee in terms of giving the overall value proposition that he gets across. And as you would have seen across in my retention slide as well, that retention, the pay and benefits comes a little lower across. So are we giving him the right sort of environments to grow, the challenges that he is looking for, the potential that he earns across, and he grows faster in this organization vis-a-vis the other organization? And if that benefits and that growth and that environment is well enabled and given across, not just to him and most of the other high performers in the organizations or high potential, and they see that perceived benefits across, I believe with some amount of correction of going with your internal ranges to the maximum aspect, you would be able to retain the individual, and not only just by giving him 100%. But yeah, at times it may be very exceptional, and those calls needs to be taken across, which can be very, very specific or critical. Those can be a very odd case, but as a thumb rule, as a general, you should not violate.
Okay, because somebody has requested and put this question long back and I missed out. So if we could take one last question, this has come from Vijayan. He's asking, what is the most successful and result-oriented talent management practice you have experienced? Also, which is the talent practice linked most to the business results?
Well, it will be difficult for me to pick across which is most successful or which is most result oriented. The organizations that I've worked across with, or the organizations which I have observed across through my peers and through my network across, there has been some great success stories across on talent management practices. And the current organization which I am working across, here also we are building across some of the great stories which will come across in coming years, and which have already there with some of the folks in terms of how successful or growth or result oriented the talent practice has been. There have been people in Flipkart who joined initially uh, into the organization, and then with the growth of the organizations have changed cadre, have changed jobs within the different functions, people from technology taking into analytics or business finance, and from technology to human resources. So those have been a very good success stories within Flipkart. Airtel is another organization that comes to my mind, where we have worked across, where we had some very successful result-oriented talent practices which still are going across, and most of the people in telecom adopted to what Airtel did for. In terms of a sales organization, I've looked very closely at the L'Oreal strategy, and initially the Xerox strategy of motivating and developing sales guys in terms of sales trainers and their development. And as Sparta was an organization which comes to my mind. Google is another organization that one can look forward and see across in terms of highly successful growth and result-oriented talent strategy when it comes to managing that sort of talent which drives the business, and it's the people who make what Google is today. And there are many more examples that one can look into.
So I guess now we are running short of time, so I will like to request all of you who had sent their questions and I'm not able to take up those questions to kindly take it offline. We'll try and connect it through mails and Facebook if possible. Anurag, I will request your support there if that would be possible for people to connect with you.
Yeah, we can get connected across to most of the people. Mails or LinkedIn would be a right forum. The Facebook, not the work doesn't permit to be most of the time online on that, but in these forums we can.
Sure. So we'll have that over LinkedIn. Then we'll have that over LinkedIn. Also, we have a HR VLZ page on Facebook where people do come and share their thoughts. So if once in a while, if that would be possible, then we'll look for that support also.
We'll look forward to that as well. And I thank all who were in the call for bearing with me and being with this conversation for an hour. I believe there were moments where the audio dropped across because of some technical issues across. So my sincere apologies for that. And I hope you could take away a few things from this session. I thoroughly enjoyed being with all of you and wish you all the very best and success in your HR field. I look forward for your support whenever I need it across. Do reach out to me. I would try my best to be of any help. And thanks a lot, Craig. Thanks for your initiative. Highly appreciate it.
Thank you, Anurag. Thank you for all. Actually, this entire thing I owe it to you because I know how difficult it was for you and you managed it. So thank you for stretching out so late in the evenings to work it out. Thank you for all the support that you have provided. And this session has turned out to be a marvelous session. Definitely there will be a lot of takeaways. People do ask one question, that can the presentation be shared across for reference? So I would like to seek your suggestion there.
Sure. I have no issues with that. Yeah.
Great. Then I will put it on SlideShare like we do it for everyone, where they can draw references from it.
Sure. If it benefits anyone, I would be glad to.
Thanks a lot. Thank you, Anurag, and thank you each and everyone in the audience bay for bearing with us over the technical snags that happened in the middle. But overall, all your support is what counts, and that motivates us for this ongoing exercise. So we have planned the next sessions. One is on July 12th and one is on July 26th. So I will look forward to your participation there also. But for now, thank you once again for joining us here, for sharing such a great time, for making it such a learning experience. And Anurag, thank you on behalf of HR VLZ followers and HR VLZ. Thank you for all the support that you have provided.
Thank you. Thanks to everyone and have a great weekend. Thank you.
See you again, all of you, on 12th of July. The session participation link would be shared across. Till that time, I wish you all the very best in your career, in your life, and see you on 12th. Thanks a lot for joining the HR VLZ. Look forward to more such sessions and your active participation in them. Have a good day. God bless all. Bye-bye.